Come on, hotkeys. Do your job. Oh my god. Stupid hotkeys. I hate these stupid hotkeys.
It says we're live. Looks like we are live, yep. Welcome back, guys.
Oh,
I don't know how many of you caught that stream, but we had a little boo-boo.
My fault. My bad. My bad, everybody out there.
No, it's all right. Unfortunately, this means you get even better content in the future, but I have a suspicion that this episode won't be out for some time. Yeah, yeah, it's definitely, normally it goes up Wednesday on YouTube. We'll see if I can miraculously put something together for the week after that. The crazy thing about it,
Luke, we're live, by the way.
Yeah, I know.
Is that well, at least we got the boys back. The show isn't over, so that is good news. I mean, to be honest, with the luck points from the new characters is going to be. Oh, there you go. I heard that.
What was that?
Just double checking.
It was going to be pretty hard for you guys to fail, but I mean, I couldn't lower the challenge.
Don't do it.
Go ahead. It's the
Hangout.
after show.
Yeah.
It's the after show. Go for it.
Delicious.
But if you guys missed it, look forward to something really special coming to the YouTube version of that episode. I got a really cool idea. I'm gonna make it badass.
No,
Hopefully it turns into the best episode ever, because it was.
It was freaking intense, man.
Yeah, and you guys did get one of the demons.
Yeah.
Down to 5 now. So there's that.
John was really trying to kill everyone. I almost succeeded too.
Do we have recruits now?
No. You're their friend.
Oh, okay. They call
Sean
us for help, not the other way around.
Sean is their friend. Yeah. Yeah, Sean is Ken's friend.
I'm glad I didn't kill your character, Luke.
Yeah, he can demand loyalty from you now. If he calls you up, you'll go, because you're. I mean, there's no other way to do it. Maybe you're guilt-ridden, or maybe you're just appreciate that he took it well and doesn't blame you for plugging him a bunch of times and nearly killing him. Plus, you'll lose a little weight in the hospital.
Well, that's fine, because there's that whole thing that the reason that Emmy used her luck point.
Yeah, she she basically used her luck point to get you on to get arrogance onto the devil's trap.
Yeah, but the reason that she did so.
Oh, okay, yeah. It's that. Yeah, that seems a little cheaty, but
I mean, she probably would have.
It's not against the rules. It's not against the rules.
You survive a combat, or you do something cool. Those are the.
I mean, she might have waited a little longer to use her own luck point to save herself in the end, after all else failed. But she had ulterior motives.
Yeah.
Basically, use a luck point to do something cool. So.
No, it's because Luke got really clever with the character construction. It doesn't matter if he says or not. It's up to him, though, because it's his character.
No, that's going to be a surprise for Yuli there. I mean, unless you gave him access to the characters. Don't look at my characters, Julie.
I did not look at your
It
character
should
sheet.
it should be. It's in the Preternatural folder, but you don't.
I didn't peek because I don't care what your character looks like. As long as we
Why don't you
help
guys
keep each
go
other
ahead
alive, that's all
and
that matters.
tell us what you thought about that episode, though.
It was pretty hardcore,
Yeah.
and I was a little excited to fight myself.
I'm never.
Because I was rooting for both. I was like, yeah, Dad, shoot his face off.
That's perfect for the question of the day. What do you guys feel about multiple characters?
That's
in one
exactly
campaign?
what I was going to say. I'm never a fan of multiple characters. I'm never a fan of switching characters quickly either. When I build a character, I'm sitting there thinking about who this person is, how they're going to act. And I get into the character. I like to try to be the character. I've even had sometimes bits of my character popping out in me in real life. I'll be sitting there about to make a decision. Like if I'm playing, like a perfect example here with Sean. Although this didn't happen, this is just one of those what ifs. So it's like if I was sitting there in line at a drive-through to get some food, and the things that Sean would do start popping in my head. I'm like, honk the horn, get out, tell the dude in front of me that he's a dumbass, to make his order. He should know what he's going to be getting, but I'm here. I already know what I'm getting. Why are you sitting here for 15 minutes in line, backing this whole thing up? And the other part of me is just like, pull out your gun and shoot him. I'm like, but I don't have a gun. That's Sean. Oh, yeah. So I'm just going to sit here and listen to some music and pretend like I'm not in line. But it starts to spill out in me. The things in my head start to be like, the character says, "Citizen, you are under arrest for smoking in public. Relinquish your cigarettes. Stand trial before me. I don't have my judge gun on me. I can't just shoot him in the street for smoking." So it's like if I'm playing multiple characters, it takes me out of my character to play another character at the same time. It's a more challenging thing. If I do it more surface and don't really get into the character, then sure, but you're going to have parts of all the characters spilling into each other. And then there's the metagame aspect of it. That one's a little bit more easy to control. It's just like when I want to give suggestions to somebody who's not in the same room as me, and I'm like, dude, the puzzle is like up, down, down, left, right, A, B. Come on. Hector just used the Konami cheat code. But somebody like is sitting there struggling with it because they've never played Konami before. And I'm just like, well, I can't say anything, or I'm knocked out. I can't say anything. I'm not gonna give it to him. So I can prevent myself from giving knowledge from one character to another, and I can prevent myself from trying to hope to low roll, even though hoping to roll low or high isn't going to affect anything, man. And I'm just going to call the dice as they lay. I'm not going to fudge the numbers unless I'm the GM. So it's like I can control that part of it, but being a different character and switching like that to another character, that's a difficult one, man. I'm not a professional actor for a reason.
You bring up a really good point with the metagaming.
Sean was trying to kill everyone.
Yeah, it is difficult to compartmentalize, right? And I wonder if you weren't like extra vicious because to avoid metagaming,
No, we were controlled by a demon. That's why we were extra vicious.
Yeah, which was fine. There was nothing that I would say was metagaming or weird about the way you guys played it.
I thought you did a good job. Every time I was Dan, I was like, we're gonna win. We're gonna win. We're gonna
Yeah, and
win.
Sean was
I was
still
on
a
the murder spree.
jackass. Here's Johnny.
Yeah, I messed up a little bit because I was hoping to have like a subplot where you guys were escaping,
Yeah, but
but
we
then
escaped.
I didn't realize how good you were at that, and I
You
was
put
just
two
like,
mechanics
oh
in a
no, you're
car.
gonna. It's like, no, dude, they're not gonna leave you like open air. You guys are gonna get out right away. They're gonna put you in a trunk
You want to hear
where
something
it's hard to
funny?
move and all this
That's
stuff.
why I even
You want to
asked
hear
you.
something?
Are
You
you
want to hear
talking
something funny
about?
about that, Hector? When we
Oh.
first got to the library, I was gonna suggest maybe we should take turns keeping an eye on them, but I didn't say it.
I love how you like just called 1-800-monster and figured out where they were and everything around.
Yeah, right.
We're jerks, dude.
Like you guys, that was the best investigation you could have ever done. Snap to it like that, just went off. Freaking like, oh no, we got murder rage. We know exactly where to go. we're gonna figure this one out like super fast. So I had to.
That one's easy. You can't call 1-800-monster and ask, "Hey, where's the demon?" They're gonna say, somewhere in the vicinity of New York City. They're like, well,
No,
and we knew the mission
Which
before we got
borough?
whammied.
No, are you
So
talking about Manhattan? Are you,
Yeah,
are
but you
talking
guys-
about Brooklyn? Does it in New
But
York
you guys
City?
hunted down your characters down super fast. I was just like, oh man.
It was
Luckily,
too
I could
easy.
fudge time a little bit and
Yeah.
make it so that you guys didn't just murder yourselves right outright. Like, oh man, that would
Because
be so
Sean
bad.
and Dan are brutal.
Mhm. They are brutal.
so
Yeah, you guys really show. Oh man, if only, that damn intro I did was perfect for
so
it because
good.
you
It's
guys
so cool.
you guys are so brutal. You guys
We're brutal. We're brutal.
everyone missed out except for us three. We got
Hey,
to
you know
see
what? Why don't you do the intro again right now?
No. I'm not
The
gonna do
moment's
that.
over.
You don't understand. You don't understand how much energy that takes. It's like a whole on freaking performance.
All right, just butt chug some coffee.
I'm not gonna butt chug anything.
Oh, come on, Hector.
No. Let's go to Yuli because you give us your rundown on the whole multiple character.
I actually enjoy playing multiple characters to an extent. Like if I'm playing like 2 or 3 characters, cool. Because then I see it as try to keep everything as surface as possible. So I'm not being like, oh, let me jump into guy number 2 now. But I can't use guy number 1's knowledge because they're from 2 different cities or wherever. They had 2 different backgrounds. So I try to keep it as surface as possible to where that's what makes it easier for me, because then when I jump to Dan, it's like, okay, I'm Dan now. How does Dan think? Okay, how would Dan act? Dan would act like this. Bam. And like not going too deep into anything. And then if I had to jump back to Kennedy, it's like, all right, Kennedy's like this. He's kind of a tough guy. Dan's trying to murder him. He's gonna try to not get murdered by Dan, and just yeah. So I already had the fight set up in my head. If Kennedy survived, Kennedy was gonna rush Dan because he knows that he's buffer than Dan. He's like, I'm just gonna wrestle this guy's gun away.
That's awesome. That's perfect.
I already had it planned out in my head. So
Yeah.
So I actually
that's
enjoy it.
awesome.
I enjoy the whole like you're running and gunning. You're the medic now. What do you do? I go do this. Save this guy. Like, I kind of
You shot Ken and Sean.
Yeah. With no hesitation. Ken, brother, cool.
I really didn't think you'd be able to shoot him because he was right next to you. He got his full parry.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because it was a melee action for you, not a.
I rolled max.
Well, here's an interesting thing about that. Let me just look at my character just to make sure real quick, because I'm pretty sure
I have a 14 attack, and because of my modifications, I got a +1, I think from a Ford grip or something like that. I would have gotten another +1, but I didn't wrap my sling. I never claimed that. So that turned my attack to a 15, and I just happened to roll a 10 on that attack.
Okay, let's see.
But you had more parrying.
My attack is also a 15. My dodge, my parry's a 13.
Damn.
And
Yeah,
my
so
dodge.
Me rolling a 10, it was inevitable.
Yep.
Yeah, and my dodge is also a 13.
Damn.
So it's like I think we have the same setup a bit on the characters like that. There,
Yeah, we're
Yuli.
really close in stats.
Yeah. So it's like because we both have the same attack. We both have 15. You know,
I
and
only
it's
have a
like if
15 because of my shotgun. My natural attack is a 14.
my natural attack is the 15, and then I get a +1 with my handgun because I have weapon intimacy on
Well,
that
I think
thing.
you're a -1 for everything, though, aren't you?
Oh, you have old
What?
wound or something, right?
Yeah, don't you have an old wound?
The what?
Don't you have an old wound?
Oh yeah, that's right. That's why I never use the
The
+1.
only way I would have not shot you is if for any reason we entered the room and Sean was like, "I'm gonna go defensive." Then I would have missed you by like
Well,
1 or 2. Yeah.
yeah, but I mean, it was just, Ken using the luck point to gain an ally. Really,
That was
it
really my
was like
only save.
it was up in the air, right? Because
Yeah.
who are you gonna who do, who do you who do
Uh,
you pick? Both
you know what
brothers are
was
stupid lethal.
you know what it was? I imagined it from Ken's eyes what they look like. There's a hillbilly with a
Uh,
shotgun, and there's a well-dressed man with a rifle. I picked the well-dressed man with the rifle because he looked more lethal. That's how I decided. I break Sean's hold. Because from Kennedy's eyes, you would look more dangerous.
yeah, that was good. I didn't. I knew you guys would end up losing the luck points because Sean and Dan are freaking actually pretty monsters compared to humans. I didn't know how you were gonna do it.
They are
Um,
hunters.
yeah, yeah. I mean, they're actually pretty brutal. Um, so again, we ended up uh, with two opposing opinions, which is great, and I end up right in the middle again. Um, my deal is close to what Yuli was saying. When I have multiple characters interacting in the same scene, I predetermine their actions and I stick to them because that keeps me from metagaming and I focus on their motivations.
And it kind of keeps you from stumbling when you're going back and forth.
Yeah, yeah. So as long as it's the exact same thing I'm doing when I'm playing multiple NPCs because that's something I often have to do. This time around, you guys did the heavy lifting for me because that's normally what I do every episode, right? When I'm jamming, I have multiple NPCs, and when they started interacting with you, interacting with each other,
Yeah.
I have to be able to flip back and forth super fast. NPCs,
you stay surface when you're role playing NPCs.
I can surface
maybe
level.
you give them an accent. Maybe they have a specific driving thing, but they're not a full fleshed out character.
Right. So normally I for NPCs, it's true. I don't. An NPC has a purpose, right? I mean, they might just be bullet sponges. They might just be they might just be there for scenery. Sometimes they have a motivation. Sometimes they're meant to drive you a certain way or something.
This specific NPC is out to give you a star cookie, and it is his entire motivation to do so, and he will die to do it.
Yeah,
but he doesn't have a personality. He's just going to slap you in the nuts.
And you just have to stick to the motivation, and as long as you remember the motivation, you're going to be fine. When you have multiple characters, though, I think it's not that different, but you focus on their deeper motivations that you should have fleshed out and know. And as long as you can remember that, then it's not as difficult to switch between them. It does get more difficult when situations get complex, and hopefully the situation is getting complex because you want to strive for that inner struggle, right? You don't want to have internal conflict is what you want to go for. So that's where it gets deeper. That's where it gets a little harder. But normally in a campaign, if you're playing more than one character, you should have extra time to kind of flush it out and think it through. And
I think
so it shouldn't be that bad.
I think it's funny because For me, I have an easier time pitting my own characters against each other than playing
Microphone.
multiple characters on the same team. Like if I was playing Kennedy and Dan in this fight on the same team styles, I would have stumbled just a little bit because I would have had kept telling myself, oh, like Kennedy doesn't know that, Dan doesn't know this, like Kennedy wouldn't know this about Dan and vice versa, and you know, but when you're pitting them against each other, it's just like, what would this character do? He would do this. What would this character do? He'd do
Yeah,
that.
yeah, and it's tempting to be like power play, like
Yeah, yeah,
you know,
exactly,
like
yeah. But you don't want to
oh
medicate
no,
on
like
yourself, you know. So
yeah, this character is gonna do this, which sets up my other character to do that, and you know, like
we can't
it's not. You can do that too sometimes if you
verbalize
no, if you have the characters if the characters have been working together for a long time
it.
and they're a cohesive unit,
That makes it
then
easier too.
then it's okay to go ahead and start power playing like that, right? It's like, oh, the guys are all hidden back there. That's fine. I set up and I hold an action and I ready an action to shoot anybody I see, and the other character throws a grenade to flush them out.
There's an additional.
You know, it's like
Yeah.
there's nothing wrong with that power playing
Team
once those
tactics.
characters are cohesive unit and they're using, like, it's okay to set yourself up for those team tactics and just have a natural rapport with your
There's
But you
an
also have to
additional.
remind yourself that we can't read each other's minds. That's the little stumble I get when I play multiple characters on the same team.
Well, that's actually a thing, Yuli. I've known you and Hector long enough to where I could practically read you guys' minds. I know how you would react in certain situations. So it's like, say, us three were at a bar, and somebody started acting hostile towards us.
I'll tell
I
you
know
actual
all
story
of
about
us
that if you
would
want.
instantly spot it. So I wouldn't have to say to you guys, did you see that? I know you guys already spotted that.
Hector would already be standing. I would already be pretending not
Yeah,
going to
so-
look in that direction and just be ready.
Yeah, so I went to a bar with AB and Howie, and this guy was up on AB, like rubbing his head and getting all comfortable and pulling him in and being like super total rando, right? Like all up in his space.
That's not going to
No.
work with Abe.
No, sometimes you can get away with that, but like we
Not
were
like
all,
that.
me and Abe were bouncing at the time, so we're like really paranoid and all about our personal space, you know? So Howie doesn't know that Abe doesn't know this guy. But Howie also has 10 years bouncing experience. So he saw me walk around and put my drink down on the table.
And you're just like, oh,
And just like that, Howie snapped into bouncer mode. That was it, right? That was the signal. We didn't have to say anything else. We end up telling that guy to calm down. Now all three of us are bouncers. Like, I think at the time I'd been bouncing like 3 or 4 years. No, it was only like 2. Maybe, I don't know if he bounced before, but he had like 2 years bouncing. Now he's 10 years bouncing experience. All of a sudden, we're all chest puffed out, ready to go. And AB's like, hey, dude, get your hands off me. And he calmly pushes the guy's hands away. And he's doing this thing, and the guy is like, keeps coming at him like a playful cat.
Like a little kitty.
He's like, no, dude. Yeah, it's like, no, dude, get your hands off me. Well, how he's sitting there, it's like, hey, dude. He told, he told the bouncers to cover our, that's what you do, by the way, guys. CYA, somebody's gonna mess with you, just go right out, go tell the bouncers. The bouncers are usually 90+% of the time, they're very helpful. Go tell a bouncer at the bar, you got a problem. Before the problem happens, identify early, get them on your side.
Yeah, I got a story about that for later.
And then, so AB's doing this. Howie comes back. Howie's like, hey, dude, back off. You know, Howie's huge. He's got that voice, that deep voice that carries.
He's like 6'4".
Come on, bro. Come on. Yeah, come back off, bro. Come on. And then finally, we can't take it anymore. We move him towards the back exit door. AB's had enough. He can't have this guy like pawing all over him. So he goes to push him. He doesn't see me push him. After he pushed him, and we knock that dude straight onto the back door. The door flings open. He rolls over into the alley. Bouncers show up. They're like, "What happened?" It's like the guy wouldn't keep his hands off of him, man. Like, we don't know him. He was just like all touchy and grabby and weird. We told him to stop. He wouldn't stop. And bouncer's like, "Okay, cool," because we'd already told him about the situation. Like, we covered it all like that, you know.
Well, also in role playing, like say I was playing Sean and Dan as a pair of characters, and I'm having to switch between the two of them. Sure, their personalities are slightly different, but they're brothers. They've lived with each other for so long to where one personality spills into the other's personality, man. It's like how the three of us, dude, we take up traits from each other, man. I pick up things from you guys. You guys pick up things from me. I'm sorry, I'm a bad influence. But
Sometimes
it's
I
the
do
truth.
channel my inner troll because of you.
You know, it's true, you know. So when you're playing two characters who know each other really well, then it's easier to play multiple characters because you can switch between them and still have that leak of the character that you're trying to play leak into the other character. If they don't know each other at all and you're playing two people on opposite sides or two people who have barely met each other, you're having to jump between a hard wall where there are no traits from this one character that show up in the other character.
Yeah. Gosh, I still think, like, as far as my recommended technique for that is just go down to the base motivation for that character, and that's something maybe we don't talk about often, but it is in the Game Master's Guide. Like, determine your character's base motivation. Everybody has one. Realistically, everybody has one. It doesn't matter who you are in life. It might not. So the game recommends that you pick one that encourages you to adventure, right? Because if your motivation is to become a house mother and raise children,
There's no adventure.
Yeah,
there is no go into the woods and see what you can find.
Yeah, that's it. Doesn't lend itself well to a normal RPG campaign. But as long as you can keep that in mind.
But Hector, that is easily overcome. So you're a housewife, and now your husband has gone off adventuring and has not come back.
Mm-hmm.
And no one in the village will help you search for him. What do? I go find my husband.
Pretty much. You gotta go. And now the job is to rescue husband. You know.
Well. I mean, the thing is, you might let him dead because you got children to raise, right?
She could be like, I'm just gonna go find a new husband.
So
I'm sorry,
that's the whole thing.
Your attractiveness is too low. You don't have amiable. No one will have you. You must go after your husband.
You better go get that man. That's all.
Find your husband and die alone.
That's funny because that's
just I gotta say it just so that I'm not insulting anybody. The roles can be reversed. Say you're a house husband, your wife goes off adventuring. Same scenario. You're an ugly troll of a man like myself sitting here, and it's like, well, my wife is gone, and no one else will have me. I must go get her back.
Yeah, if you saw Critical Role Campaign 2, that's actually what you described as one of the characters. And then for like half of the campaign, after they get their husband back and stuff, it's just like, well, now I'm stuck adventuring because I can't let these other people that have done so much for me die, right? Like, I can't let them.
This actually makes me think of something here. I've been wanting to run this campaign. Hector, I know you don't like playing yourself, and there's a good reason for that. None of us want to play ourselves, man. I
only want to play myself if I have superpowers.
Yeah, and
I already have great adventures.
That's actually to begin. That's the thing about the campaign that I wanted to run. The reason you would be yourself is because you're only yourself until you become your alter ego, which is at will. You don't have to channel anything or do anything. You just turn into your alter ego and you are yourself with whatever superpowers it is you wanted. Now, here's where I think this would be interesting because of the way that I wanted to set this up. This is something that would take like 10 players, pushing it 15, because then it's going to become an almost uncontrollable group. But what I was thinking is, there's a lot of people out there who are really good actors in their own right. They're undiscovered people. They're out there. Maybe they're going to school for it. Maybe they never went to school for it. They're just good at it. And, I'm going to try to find some of these people and ask them if they want to join us. But not until this campaign is finished first. And yeah, I think it would be great to get some other people in to play this whole thing out, man. To get some more characters in here.
Yeah, well,
especially good actors, because good actors are good role players.
You know that I'm not. It's not the main reason, but one of the reasons why this group is so small is because I'm very selective with players these days. We did, however, enjoy Sneak.
Absolutely,
play with.
That was fantastic.
Yeah, and I think he's going to be joining us soon.
I liked his style, man. He probably wasn't the best role player per se, but his strategy and his adherence to rules, he got it, man. He picked up the system like nothing, and he was just playing like old hat, man. He had some questions here and there, but he was on it, man.
At the risk of tooting my own horn, I think that's one, because I'm very experienced game master, but also because the game lends itself
the system itself encourages that. You can just kind of come in, and it is a very complex system of rules. I'm not going to sit here and sugarcoat it and say, oh, it's the easiest thing in the world to play. It's just like you roll the 10-sided. No, there's a lot of
being a paradox.
But at the same time, it's not so complex that you're floundering at every turn. You're going to turn to your GM and say, well, what about this? And when you got a good GM, bam.
So I think one of the biggest downfalls of D&D is that the way that the game is played by the nerds that play it. Sorry, guys. I love you. Don't take that the wrong way. You get your character sheet and you read the rules, and those are your limitations, and that's what you're expected to do.
Yeah.
Hold on, I got this.
And it's built that way. It's like you build your character, and these are the things you can do. These are the things you're limited to. It just feels that way. But the way that I wrote my game is that you say what you want to do, and then there's a rule to cover it afterwards. So the game mechanic should be an afterthought. It's like, this is what I want to do. It's like, okay, do it.
There's also this
roll,
with D&D.
And then you go, what do you roll? What do you roll?
There's also this.
You roll this.
All right. So you guys did what?
I'm Paladin, and I'm trying to cast Holy Thunder on some dragon.
Oh yeah. You should see.
Let me check
if you watch campaign 1 of Critical Role.
Let me check.
Matt Mercer is so good at flipping through the book. He seriously has 10 ranks in flip through book, because you can see he's done it so much.
Yeah.
He's like, because every time somebody casts a spell, he goes, wait a minute. Okay, you're right. He's like super fast. He's done that thousands of times. It's like,
and that's amazing. But you have to have been playing.
That's great. But how many times have I referenced the rule in our game in our 16 sessions? 3 times,
and
right?
That's one of the things about Dungeons and Dragons, man, is you have to know the system so well to be a GM, like so well, because you're like, wait, hold on, you're a paladin, right? You're okay. So let me just check. And come on, man.
Unfortunately, you need Einstein to run the game for you, because nobody can remember that many details and little. The spells the spells especially break that like horribly, because it's just like every little one has a thing about it that's game breaking, and if you don't control it right, then it's just gonna mess up the whole freaking thing.
And with
And
this,
then there's the feats, and then there's the skills, and then they all do that.
and with this system, with the heavy metal system, you're looking at pretty much everything's on the character sheet. There's going to be some things here and there that, no doubt, this is a smart person's game. I mean, you're going to have to remember a few things like flexibility, like we were discussing before we got on even today,
Right.
because we were looking at a possible error.
And I wrote it and I couldn't remember.
Yeah, we're looking at a possible error in the character sheet, and it's like, so flexibility helps with specifically melee attacks,
Melee
but
actions.
not ranged attacks.
Honestly, that's why I trust the rule, because at the time that I wrote the rule, I thought it out. So I just go with the rule. Because
Yeah,
it's
no,
like,
no, for sure.
I know there was
for
a
sure.
reason I did that.
No,
but
for sure.
there's so much
What
I
I'm
can't
saying,
remember.
what I'm saying is, these are one of the very few spots in which something is contested, and even if you don't look at it and say, "Oh, wait a second, that," because you can make a note on your character sheet for that sort of thing, and then it's right there on the character sheet. If you forget to do so, you're only cheating yourself of like 2 points on something, even though 2 points can really make a difference. Like, wow. But at the same time, if you had sat there and said, "Oh, well, right here in the rules it says this does this," just write a note on your character sheet. And there are so few exceptions to rules. There's so few dualities to the system, to where almost everything is very straightforward, and it's just right there on the character sheet, done, and it's just like, roll, man.
It's not having to remember all the rules. It's you build the character any way you want, well, within the confines of the campaign style, and then you just write down all the special things about your character, and that's it. There is no you don't have to remember everything every time you play.
So that's
Exactly.
I think that was the right move. The game is front loaded. You have to put the effort in to make the character sheet, which last time I made a character sheet for 5th edition, it didn't take me, it wasn't any faster than our game.
Actually, the last time
but I'm extremely practiced at making characters for my own game, right?
Yeah,
So,
no, there's that. And as am I, well practiced, not extremely practiced, but well practiced at making character sheets. Last thing I played for Dungeons and Dragons was Advanced. And that character sheet, as I remember, it took us basically 4 or 5 hours sitting there with the dungeon master saying, "Can I do this? Can I do this? Can I do this?"
That's to where in this
Yeah.
system you could be like, I am a berserking priest that also uses dark magic. Try and stop me. I got the points.
Right. And the thing is, no, here's the thing. To be fair, you can do that in D&D, but you have to pick the right class, and then find the right subclass, and then buy the right book to take the exact subclass that you need to do that.
None of that.
Their method is, you can do it your own way if it's done just how we say.
Exactly, that's the problem.
And you paid up for all the other books, where mine is just like, yeah, there's a talent, take it.
Yeah,
that is actually kind of a thing, man. It's like I had a buddy who was.
I'm a sharpshooting sumo wrestler. Say I'm not.
There's no class for that. As far as I know, there's no class for that in D&D, but because this system is classless,
yes,
you could just pick it yourself, right?
I kind of want to play a sharpshooting sumo wrestler now.
Yeah,
but
no,
I would need
for
like
sure.
400 points.
You can build it. You don't have to ask the GM, because as you're building it, and I'm going to toot my own horn here, my character sheet is far from perfect. We're still beta testing that thing. Once we're done with that and the book is ready, we'll be able to release. But it's like, if you start with your talents, you can see where you want that sharp shooting ninja wrestler, and you put in all the talents proper, and it says, well, you need this, you need to fill these, and it's just, then you jump to the other sections and you fill those out. And if you run out of points because the GM is the one that says, make a 200-point character, make a 300-point character, make a 100-point character, and that is a limiting factor.
That is
To
the
where
only
you
limitation,
don't have
really.
to keep asking. The only thing you're going to ask the GM at any point is,
Well,
'cause
as
the
the
rules are simple, the rules are there. You're going to say, hey man, does this fit the world?
yeah. So the right now, even though it's unfinished, the Game Master's Guide does describe how to go about doing that.
Yeah, for sure. It's well
which
thought
is
out.
which is man, I can't. I'm sorry, it's a rag on D&D game because the
Yeah,
dungeon
it
master
is a rag on
the
D&D game. Let me rag
well,
on D&D real quick.
look, it's
There's this
because
one thing.
the Dungeon Master's Guide does not guide the dungeon master
No, it does
how to
not.
run a campaign. It just has a bunch of weird, up in the air, maybe rules. Uh,
Yeah,
doesn't
and this is where
I don't
I'm going
remember
to.
anything.
I'm on the same vein as you, man, because they got the Dungeon Master's Guide, the Player's Guide, the Monster Manual, the Magic Manual. And they'll say, so say you got the Dungeon Master Guide, and it's like refer to the Player's Manual. Then you get through the Player's Manual, it says refer to the Monster Manual. So you're going through the Monster Manual, it's like refer to the Magic Manual. So you're going through the Magic Manual, it says refer to the Dungeon Master's Guide. And
Well,
you're like,
to
oh, isn't this
to
a
be
book
fair,
club?
I haven't read a DMG since third edition, so I don't know if the fifth edition one's any better. Because obviously I skipped fourth.
It could, but
I doubt it.
the last thing I remember was Advanced Dungeons and Dragons, and it kept referring me to other books. I was like, dude, I don't have the money to buy that book, man. I'm 17
and I
years
spent
old.
that money. I spent that money, and it
But
sucked.
I was 17 years old, man. I was still high school. I didn't have a job. I was
used
trying to
two
be
of
in a
those
band.
books. I used two of those books, right?
But it reminds me of
You have to use the player's handbook. That's the core rules. You use the monster manual, and then all the other books that I have, like maybe one thing got used out of a couple of them. Like,
yeah, but it would tell you refer to the GM.
I don't
Refer to the
just,
Monster
It
Manual.
was like a vast amount of information, but when you read it all, it basically still kind of puts you in a box, and that was the problem.
Yeah, play Pathfinder, guys. If you want to play D&D, Pathfinder's the best version of D&D there will be.
It's clean.
Well, so what they did is like they took out they went to the core mechanics of it.
It's streamlined. It's clean.
And and instead of making you pick a class that had the mechanics you want, you got to pick the core mechanics out of it that you wanted. So if you picked a high hit die, you sacrificed certain other things, or if you picked a high attack, you sacrificed somewhere. You could only pick so many of the core things to make a class, and while it's a lot more work and more convoluted, you could make what you wanted out of it instead of relying on a book trap.
It's more campaign agnostic.
It is. They still stuck with their silly space orcs and space elves and space. It's like, oh, we can't get away from it. Like, oh, we're gonna make a space campaign, space orcs. It's like, really?
So are they regular orcs? They just have these two little things on their head.
They're just space. They're just orcs in space.
And that's something.
They're just orcs in space. Dwarves in space. Oh, you need elves in space. Gnomes in space.
It's just Hector. We bash on systems a lot because we're nerds.
We bash on certain systems.
There are no two ways about it. We are nerds.
We also praise systems when praise is said. Like
true.
If I wasn't playing this game, if my own game didn't exist, I would gladly play a White Wolf campaign or a Cyberpunk campaign.
All right, but what I wanted to ask is, to your knowledge, what system out there is as campaign agnostic as the heavy metal system?
GURPS, which is inspiration for making that move. I just didn't like the mechanics that they had. I thought it was clunky.
Clunky mechanics, but excellent campaign agnostic.
Yeah, you can have anything from anime Robotech guy to Shaolin key wielding monk to set a trash can missile launching robot all in the same campaign. And it just works for GURPS. That's what they do.
What's the limitations as far as the clunkiness?
Well, they have the system where you take a skill and it raises similar skills. So you take Taekwondo and it also raises you have a second. It gives you a secondary like judo and a secondary this.
Kind of like the synergy
fist or some. It's kind of like synergy, but but it's real specific and overly detailed, and it doesn't. Yeah, so you take rifles, you take a 3 rifles, and it gives you a plus 1 handgun and a plus 1 rocket launcher or something. So it's real specific and clunky and weird, and it's just like,
I only bring this up because I'm a purist.
But it's pretty much like synergy.
And if I'm looking at the entirety of all the rule systems that are out there, I'm looking to see which one is the cleanest, most streamlined, most campaign agnostic. And I, for one, enjoy a bit of competition to try to make ourselves better and to try to make the competition better.
Yeah, and I mean,
try to make the players themselves better. So I'm going to call out. Who is the system that you were saying right now?
What, GURPS?
Yeah, I'm calling out GURPS right now. Top us.
No, well, I mean, my game isn't even out, so.
Well, once you put it out, man, it's an open challenge for them to make it better, and then we'll all sit down and we'll look at the rules and we'll say, well, how can we make this better?
Maybe.
Side note, real quick, did you guys like your minis today?
I really liked Sean's mini. Really nice. Liked it a lot. I was like.
There's Elliot Matas. There's Elliot. I was gonna meet.
Yeah.
I'm still confused about the cake thing. She wasn't holding the cake.
It's slang for booty. She had a fat donk on her.
There's Kennedy.
Big burly. Yep. Who's surprisingly fast for his size.
And that was Emmy.
And there's Miss Cakes.
I'm like,
well, when I envisioned her as a thick Southern girl, like raised on a farm kind of deal.
We probably should have got together about that because I pictured her as more of a California vegan girl.
I pictured her as like a really tough, like tomboy-ish person.
So there isn't a whole lot of hunters in the Supernatural series that are city folk. Because I don't know if Canadians just the way they were filming it, the people that they got, mostly hunters dress like mundane hunters, not supernatural hunters for the.
That's gonna be a.
So they have a rural culture about them. They're like tougher people. They're people who can survive in the wilderness by themselves, like know a little bit of tracking and stuff. They're more likely to get into it. So it doesn't they don't like city folk are usually like victims in the show. The only people who are hunters that were city folk, you either used to be in the military or used to be in law enforcement.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Used to be military or what?
Law enforcement.
Actually, that fits.
And then became hunters after the fact.
There's a reason I gave her a Glock instead of 1911. because
she
the
could have been,
Glock
but
45 is not much different from the Glock 9 mil.
even then, there wasn't a lot of street cops in the 80s that were female. There were some.
There's some.
There were some, but not a lot. Not as many as there are now.
Let's see.
And beat cops is where it's at. I know. It's funny. Somebody that was very close, that I love very much, was a female street cop in Chicago. I think in the 70s. So I know they did exist, definitely, but like I said, still rare. A lot more common today, right, Yuli, when we see those ladies pop out of the patrol car and tase some fools.
You got the wrong guy. You got the wrong guy. We corrected it after the fact. Like, no. This other guy was fighting him.
You got tased him. You got tased everybody.
Yep. Everybody gets a taser. Simmer down or get
But
tased.
No. So GURPS was the fact that you could do anything in GURPS. That was definitely part of the inspiration for this game. Like I said, you want to have a gritty noir detective character. You want to have a Hawkeye next to him, a ninja assassin next to that, mage, some sort of weird demon blood mage, whatever, anything you can think of. GURPS pretty much got you covered. It just, the system was kind of clunky, and they had instead of going to the root, they came up with a list of skills that were like approximate, just like close enough for me. I didn't like that.
I've never played it personally, but it sounds all right, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, better than
it's
most
all right.
systems.
No, it is, and I think they one of their biggest downfalls was naming it GURPS, because it just doesn't sound that appealing. But and it's supposed to stand for a generic universal role playing system, which it is, and it does it pretty well. But again, I didn't like the system, and once they start
I cannot fault them. I like it. I like the name. Just that's the part of me that likes things that make sense. There's no dramatic flair. It's direct. It's stripped down.
Yeah.
It represents itself. It's just a simple acronym.
Yeah, and I think one of the draws of D&D is that it has like a fleshed out world. What people don't realize is that to get that fleshed out world, you're going to end up spending a few $100, right?
And it's also with D&D specifically, you're looking at basically you're buying a video game. It's
sort
like
of,
if you go out and buy Legend of Zelda, you have the Legend of Zelda rules. The world works the way it does. The attacks, the magic, the monsters, they're all laid out for you. When you buy the video game itself, you also bought the GM who is controlling the whole game, because it's a single player all the way through. I don't know what they've been doing lately. Twilight Princess was the last one I played. So you're like going through the world as is, and the difference where GURPS there and the heavy metal system, you're more like playing GTA, man. Because here's your world, and it's a GTA world. Or you can say, you know what, I'd rather do a fantasy GTA world, but it's more free reign, to where the monsters aren't defined. The magic waiting for that one, man. But it's a difficult thing to balance as far because I've been sitting there myself, and I do spend a lot of time on that. I sit there pooping and think about magic. I sit there showering and thinking about pooping.
What?
And when I try to sleep, I'm thinking about pooping. But while I'm pooping, I'm thinking about magic.
Well, I told you it's
And,
done, man.
all right.
I
So
don't know why you keep thinking about magic.
because I keep thinking about magic while I poop.
He's got magic on the poop
No,
brain.
no,
Because
it's
magic is poop.
been
Magic is
done. I just haven't written
fallacy.
it
Magic
down.
is ridiculous. Magic shouldn't exist. But when you want to play high fantasy, it's fine. You know, here's a question. I mean, seriously, this is to both of you guys, man, because you guys are both GM. And I'm looking at this myself. When I look at Magic, I'm going to ignore the Magic rules because that is my prerogative as a GM to go ahead and take the
That's
system
the easiest
itself,
way.
and I'm going to make the rules. I'm going to say if your lightning attack, because say you're a lightning character, you wanted lightning magic, I'm just going to straight grab the lightning rules. And I'm going to look at the magic system and
Well,
see if that already exists.
that's what
And
it
if
is.
it does, boom, done, easy. If not, I'm going to say, well, I'm going to have to set a certain DS, a mana pool, all that.
No, don't you remember last time you had a fire attack? I think helicopter. No, it might have been you, Luke. It was like, oh, you had a potion. It did Fire Force 4 or Fire Force 6, whatever it was. So all you have to do is look up what Fire Force 6 is, right? Like that was it. I created your potion by putting in FF6. We're done. Like that, and spells can be done much the same way. Um, it gets a little trickier when it's an innate ability and you have to assign a point cost. That's the only thing that Magic's there to do for you.
That's what I'm
And
talking
it's
about
and,
right
it,
there.
and it's and it's a point cost guide. And it is open to GM tweaking whatever you want because it might. One of the reasons certain skills aren't cemented in is because they're highly contextual. So when technology changes in campaign, you don't always have the same utility out of something that you do in a low technology campaign.
I have a good
Or
example
low.
for that. Speed reading. Speed reading on a book versus a tablet. You're gonna read the book way faster because there's physical pages you could.
Mm.
I don't know. I can
Yeah,
scroll
but I mean,
through my
well,
phone tree.
Yeah.
okay,
But
yeah, no, it's still better on a book. They did a thing
Yeah,
about
there's an
this a long
index and
time ago,
everything,
yeah.
and you can grab an index so much faster.
Yeah,
Actually,
but no,
that's so.
let's say look,
Yeah,
here's
I'm straight interrupting you, Hector, because of this.
Hmm.
This is something. One of the reasons that you want to actually pick up the hard copy, not the digital copy of the heavy metal system, because there is going to be an index and there is going to be a table of contents. You'll be able to easily and more quickly get to the spots in the book that you want to get. If you're sitting there on digital copy, you're going to be like, "Hey, oh, yeah, wait, hold on,
the
hold
the,
on,
the,
hold
the,
on."
P, the PDF should have an outline too. I think that's possible, but
It helps, but it's not as good
even
as the physical copy
it's
with all the
it's
art
not it's
and
not
with
as good.
everything, man.
It's
And
not as
that's
good
the
because
reason to pick up the
in a
physical
book
copy.
you can map the location of it inside of the book.
and you could put
You can
little
get to it a lot
tabs. You
quicker.
could just kind of.
And you can
Yeah.
also go camping with your buddies for a high fantasy campaign, cosplayed with foam swords, and LARP the crap out of it.
Yeah, but no, see, you interrupted me, and I don't even know what it was. Okay, so this is a real world, half 50-50 real world fake world example, right? So we're in a campaign where it's the Iron Age or late Bronze Age, and everybody's using swords and shields, so forth and so on. And then you have guy who can zap you with some sort of arcane energy. Well, if he turns your shields to dust and everything else and negates all your armor and
He's straight got a
attack
Tesla coil.
and can attack swaths of men at a single time and
Tesla
do
coil.
all this stuff, this guy's brutal, right? He's going to be insanely brutal. This mage is like just terrifying. If you put that mage in the same campaign where things like an M1 Grand exist, suddenly that guy's not that big a deal, and that magic shouldn't cost as much because maybe he's only shooting out to a couple hundred feet.
That's
And you're like, well, you know what? This scope on my M1 Grand, which is pretty basic technology from where I'm from, this will let me reach out and touch him at 600 meters, you know?
Yeah. And Tesla Coil Wizard has like a 500-foot radius he can attack.
Yeah, and it's like that's a balancing issue for that only the GM can determine, depending on that world. So because magic is so highly contextual, actually almost everything is, but especially magic is one of the worst ones. That's where it comes into the GM needs to come in and be like, is it really that big a deal that this guy can fry a squad of men? When
that's what it sounds like.
When a character, a 70-point character who focuses on his shooting can just reach out and touch that guy in the brain at 600 meters, like is that mage a big deal anymore? Should you give him a discount? Yeah, you should give that guy a discount on his spells, right?
All right.
And there's no way to tell how much technology versus magic versus whatever else you're doing is in the campaign. Maybe defensive spells are really good in your campaign, and all of a sudden that mage is a huge threat again. But if there's no defensive spells, then he's not. But if there is, he is. It's like, you know.
All right, so I'm going to pose a question here. I'd like Yuli to answer first because, Hector, you and I tend to dominate these conversations. Yuli's a timid, gentle soul. You should hire
Yuli. Say what I gotta say when I have stuff to say.
you should hire Yuli to hang out with you. He'll love you.
Yes.
In gross and weird ways.
No promises. But the Do Nothing campaign is underway.
Very gross and weird ways. He will love you.
I'll hold your hand during a movie. We ain't gonna kiss though. But I
want to start with Yuli on this one.
What's up, James? Thanks for joining us.
Say there are no rules to the magic system in the heavy metal system. How do you handle that? How was
your stream? Sorry,
how would I handle magic if there was no magic? If there was no magic rules like pre-made or whatever.
Microphone, Yuli.
The easiest thing to do would be like, what do you want to do? What does it do? And then just slap limitations on it and just call it good. Like, oh, you want to be a fire mage? You want to shoot a fireball? All right, you know. Let's just say it costs this much mana. Yeah?
How do you limit it?
I guess it would depend on the campaign. It would depend on the world. Like I would be like, I want a fireball, but I want it to like be able to like blow up entire cities. Yeah, I'd be like, nah, no. You might be able to blow up a house though. You know.
And what do you use? And what do you use?
I hope you got your character ready.
And what do you use as far as rules for the magic itself? If there are no rules governing the magic.
If I have no reference, if I'm the GM, it's just whatever I say then. You want a fireball spell and there's no rules, and be like, all right, cool. It goes 10 feet, it does this much damage, and we're gonna call it good. And you can set things on fire, even though it's magic.
Here's the reference, because there is reference, but it's up to the game. Is, can another character pick up an item that's common and use it? And if so, if that item is common and it's comparable, then the only thing you're actually paying for, uh, well, you still got some time, but oh, talking to Canes here. Sorry.
Yeah, we really need to get together and talk about our characters for the Halloween special.
Yeah, you guys need to get together and decide your characters. That's coming up pretty soon, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
like less than 2 weeks.
We got
Yeah.
we got 14 days.
But I mean, Canes is in the group chat, right?
15 days.
Yeah, you guys have his number, and I think.
Well, he's not on the stream, man. I'm on the stream. I'm not seeing him there.
Oh, he's in the chat.
What's
So
wrong with my chat?
Oh, you
I don't
probably
know.
have to refresh it. I had to refresh it.
Oh.
So if there's something similar in the game that has a point cost or is available, then you have something to compare it to. And if the only difference is that you can do it more often than somebody else, and it's like, how much are they really paying for? Like, what's comparable to that? Like an extra carry capacity? Is the ammo unlimited? It's like, what are they actually paying for mechanically in the game?
Hector, see, Yuli is more on the side of high fantasy, and he's more easy gaming.
But whatever it feels like is the right answer,
sort of thing.
because.
But before you continue, Hector, so Yuli's more high fantasy, easy game, to where he's going to make the rules and say, yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, if I had no reference, I would just.
And you're a little more strict, man. So where are you pulling your rules from if Magic itself doesn't exist in the system? There are no rules for Magic. Where are you going to pull your rules from in the existing rules for the system?
TV and video games.
No, I didn't build. I didn't build from nothing. I built from reality. I built from what does the attack skill do? We already defined what the attack skill does, what +1 means. It's like, so when we translate that into a spell, it's like, what makes it different from regular attack and damage? What makes a difference? What makes it different from that skill? What advantages is it gaining? Because if there's no advantages, there's no point in recreating something else. So what is the advantage? How does that advantage translate back into the core of the book of what is a +1?
So you're basically referring to the core rules themselves. If somebody was to say use lightning magic, I keep going back to that one because it's one of my favorite references. But if somebody was to use lightning, they're going to have to use the lightning rules, which are already pre-existing in the system itself.
Right. So it has to reference itself in this point because there's nothing else to reference because Magic doesn't exist. But reality exists. We determined what is equivalent to reality in the game, so we can reference that. We'll go back. It didn't pull it out of nowhere. It came from, this is reality. How do we break it appropriately?
That's the same. That's the same way I look at it. I'm like, same reference, lightning. Say you wanted to use force lightning, and then lightning is limited to the rules in the book. You have to set an appropriate DS.
Well, we also tested it and made sure it worked, right?
Yeah, for sure, man. There's been years of testing. I'm just looking at when you want to go outside the rules, because sometimes Magic doesn't cover everything. I mean, as a creator,
anything.
Yeah, exactly. And as the creator of the system, Hector, you're looking at the most common systems of Magic. You're looking at the most basic systems of Magic, and you're going to have people who want to go outside of these things. And this is indeed a campaign agnostic system, to where you could say, oh, I don't know, geez, what could I summon Saw Blade.
Hmm.
So
Yeah. So here's that's a great example because okay, you have summon saw blade. What does it do that's different from somebody picking up a saw blade and throwing it?
exactly.
That's it. That's the only thing I have to account for is
And
what makes this better than just
the rules already exist for
that's
the
all. Yeah, that's the only
physical
thing I have to
nature
charge you for.
of the magic in the system in and of itself. You want to put up a water wall, the rules are already there. You want to put up a firewall, the rules are already there.
Right. So I did the kinesis schools, and those are highly detailed versions of that. They do go back to the same thing. Uh, part of the core mechanics in 99 Ways to Die are the effects of wind, the effects of fire, the effects of lightning, the effects of falling, the effects of all those kinds of things. So that it's if you want to make a magical effect that has a effect that way, then yeah, that's there. Some of the things though you don't like. Well, I want to cast. I want to have arcane blood magic.
That's a good
Okay.
one.
Okay, a little different, right? A little different. So, but we just need to go back and compare it to something else.
But do the rules there in the system exist for arcane blood magic?
Uh, only because I've used it in another
Well, the
to
thing
do
is, man, I
something, but
mean, you've picked one of the most perfect examples of outside of
sure. And
any
I came
sport.
up with that because I wanted something that was outside of the normal
Break the
thing.
system.
But it was the
Just
same
to
thing. I just had to
test
compare it
the
to
system.
something
Breaking
else.
the system to test the system. But within
You're
the
not using
rules,
mana,
Hector,
you're using blood
and you
as
know the
mana.
rules pretty damn well because you wrote them. So, if there were no magic system, how would you define arcane blood magic within the simple system of reality in the game itself?
Well, it's real simple because most things break down to another effect. So what does it do? Does it do damage? Does it stun? Does it um, which one of these things is it doing? There's a bleeding mechanic in the game. Does it do that? You just compare it to whatever else there is because
Example, it's a blood bolt that you shoot at somebody and it causes damage.
damage already exists in the game. Shooting stuff already exists in the game. All we have to do is isolate what it's doing special that anybody else can't do. It's easy to assign a point cost.
I steal all the blood from my opponent and use it to attack my other opponent.
Oh, that sounds uber overpowerful OP.
Yeah, super overpowered. Yeah, it is.
Steal the blood from all your opponents, and that mana pool is so huge, you're like, I cast Doom Magic! Wow! I kill all my enemies,
yeah, sure.
and then I smash the battlefield with a meteorite made of blood.
So,
Double dead.
Would it be
essentially what you're saying
Sanguikinesis
is
or
the TS is
Hemokinesis?
far too high.
Yeah,
Okay. It's like, okay, go
It's either
ahead
hemo or
and
Sanguine, I can't
go
remember.
ahead and roll your
Sanguine sounds
magic
cool.
skill.
Sounds cooler.
You failed. You can't roll 1,000.
Okay, but there you go. What's the advantages? It ignores armor. It ignores normal routes of attack. It is incredibly lethal. It's like critical damage all the time. Okay, now we got actual advantages that we need to quantify.
So what do you
now we have an idea of what we have to charge.
Yeah,
what else does that?
Yeah, it
Yeah,
ignores
you're gonna
armors,
look
meaning
at-
it has an AP value.
Yeah,
what your mana and
It's like, okay, what else does that? Let me think. What else does that? Vacuum of space, maybe. That's kind of close. Yeah, okay. So your ability is pretty much equal to be able to put somebody in a pod and depressurize them about 1,000 feet underwater. So you pretty much have a super ability. We're looking anywhere from between 100 to 1,000 points. We just need to isolate the details farther so that we can pick an appropriate point cost within that range, right? And now we want to make our abilities land somewhere in that range. Obviously, that's a huge range that I've given you, but if we go down and pick out the details, how many targets can you affect at once? How many?
What's the range?
Yeah,
Nice.
what's the range? How much damage does it actually do? Now we can start narrowing the point cost down further.
To what do you think you would narrow that point cost down? I mean, considering mana, type of cast, time to cast, uh, all the other applicable obstacles to being able to cast such a thing.
All right. Well, something as terrifyingly powerful as you described, I try to get it down to about 150 points by putting limitations on it.
Jeez.
Right.
But for the beginning of the campaign, you would only need that one spell, right?
Yeah. For most of the campaign, you only need that spell.
Yeah. But
Well,
a kid
I
off the
think-
street could beat you to death with a stick.
I
Because all
think
your
right
other skills
here-
are so zeroed out.
I think right here,
So-
Hector, as you GM more often than you role play, the thing is, I gotta say, dude, you're probably one of the best role players that I've ever had the privilege. And it reflects in your GMing because you're able to play multiple characters with ease, but you're also able to put a DS. You're able to quantify something like this. You're
Right.
able to take the existing rules of the system without a magic system and make a magic system. It's one of those things that when you're a GM, you can say, I don't want to follow the rules of this game. I want to go outside because I think I've got a better system. And you can test it on your own and you can use it on your players, and your players can revolt against you and say you're the worst GM ever because you've just done it wrong. Well, that's something we've never done to you, man. You've always been fair. And that's, once again, I'm going to toot the heavy metal system horn. And I'm going to say that you're also an incredible GM in that aspect. And this is incredibly good GM advice as far as people who are trying to homebrew their own system off of something like Dungeons and Dragons or any other system out there. When you're trying to balance it yourself using the existing rules for the world.
That's what I want to do. I want to kill homebrew. I want people to pick up my system and have it be their shortcut to their homebrew. Because I like you.
Beautiful.
Like the creative process is a big important part of the whole thing, right? So it's like you want to put your input into it. I think most people want to put their input into it. Almost everyone has house rules for D&D because their D&D rules are not appropriate for your game style, for your campaign, for your homebrew. They don't. You end up putting those rules in anyway. So what I want to do is have a launching platform that's just like, here you go. I mean, a lot of the game already tells you where to tweak it to make it the way that you want to make it. There are notes throughout the whole thing that says if you want to do it fantastic style, if your GM's doing it fantastic style, you may do this. If he's being hard-nosed, you may do it this way. Ask your GM about it before you take the skill. Some of the things say that, and there's certain parts in the game that really easily change up the style of the game.
Hey, Mike.
It's
Can I
already
be?
in
Hey, Mike. Can I be half demon, half dragon? No,
there.
too powerful. Okay, fine. I'll be a cat person.
Yeah, and that's the thing. And it's like D&D would actually tell you, yes, you can be half dragon, half demon. And you will end up with the lamest width of air of demon and dragon inside of your character class, and you'll be totally impotent. You'll just have one flavor thing here and there that makes you both somehow, and you'll be told this is what you get. And like that's not appropriate for
You
the
can only breathe
campaign. It's
fire on a
more,
full moon. What?
it's way more appropriate to say no. And like, if you don't convince me to have, 500-point characters, then you can't have that because that's too
Well,
much.
well, well,
And we're
well
not doing
Mike didn't. Not to
Well, he was
top
right.
that.
He was right to say that.
Yeah, he
It's like, no,
was, and I said I'll be a
because
cat person.
if he waters it down to allow, if he waters it down to allow it to happen for you somehow, and he waters you down to make you uh, uh,
Yeah.
some half measure of both
So
things,
in retaliation,
and be balanced, then he takes away from the credibility of his world,
true,
and now
true.
nobody's going to enjoy it as
But
much.
I am a jerk, so I min-maxed my character so hard that I basically became your shoulder cannon, Hector.
A cold
Was
night
me, and I was
could have
on your
killed
shoulder
you.
when you ran away. When your character made you ran away crying, I was just like on your shoulder along for the ride. Like, well, this is happening.
Yeah, I like that Mike didn't understand why I did that, and I was like, hey, just because you didn't give me the points I wanted for the trait doesn't mean I wasn't going to play it. You let me take the trait still.
Yeah. And here's another one of these things. It goes back to the thing that we were talking about last session. Last session, you were asking about story armor. Making sure that your story comes through and comes to completion versus letting your characters die. And it's like you can let your characters run free for all. And you can say, for example, like, I don't know, I'm an anime fan, hardcore. There's Fairy Tale, where they're basically wizard adventurers, and they go to a board, and there's jobs that are there, and that the jobs pay the most or more likely to kill you. Then there was, I can't remember the name of it. It was a dark fantasy game, art game, not game. It was an anime. It was a Goblin Slayer. And so these people go in and they showed right off in that anime, beautiful anime, and I don't want to spoil it in any way, except for that it is right in its challenge level. So say you decide to go off, you're some level 1 adventurers, and you're like, well, there, it pays 10,000 gold. It just says kill 2 goblins. And you go, and the goblins are just not what you thought it was going to be, and everybody just dies horribly. It's like, yes, that's why it was 10,000 gold. Same as slay the dragon for 10,000 gold. You should have just gone and fought like a swamp rat or two. So when looking at appropriate challenge, when you're directing your characters into things, you're like, these are the 2 options you have. You can fight the dragon, or you can fight the dragon, or you can fight the dragon, you can fight the mouse. And it's a roll of the dice. It's like, which do you go, left or right? And nobody really knows which way to go. But you might run into the really difficult brutality, and you're not just going to take your level 1 characters and say, the first thing the king has demanded of you is to go slay the dragon itself.
Well, that's bad storycraft. I mean, but the thing is, you should have some expectations out of your players. And one of them should be that if you tell them something is incredibly dangerous and they decide to go after it anyway, that they will die.
They all die spectacularly.
It's like, you will die. You will die. Sometimes, sometimes you got, like, especially this, you might want to save it for the climax of your story, right? Where you put something that It's like, hey, maybe now everyone will die. Maybe it'll be a total party kill. But this is the end boss. It's like that's appropriate to have a maybe even more than 50% chance of a total party wipe at the end of the campaign is fair. It's fair. I would say, because I'm a hard ass, that a 75% chance of a total party wipe at the last boss is more appropriate.
But that's only because you like playing things on hard. That's just your style.
Yeah,
That's just your style.
I do, and if it if anyone could just do it, why are you here? Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, there's so yeah. If we're getting to the last, if we're at the last boss, it's like this might be it.
Yeah, that's last boss, man. But what I'm talking about is when you could set your characters out and say the king demands you go fight the dragon, and you just send them to their doom, or you give them the path A or B, and when they choose A or B, they might fight a butterfly.
It's kind of
they might fight the dragon.
It's kind of a question of metagaming, because you have to be careful the way that you do it. You can't. If you put a reward up for a dragon, and the dragon is total death, that might not be enough information for your characters to realize that dragon is total death. They might think that because you put that thing there, that, hey, sure, it might be hard, but this is an appropriate challenge for us.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a little dragon. You know what I mean?
Like a baby doom dragon.
Yeah. Maybe we're really good, and it's time for us to be like, yeah, guys, we can do it. Come on. Like, it's up to you to put the info in there to be like, hey, this is a bad idea. Even if you have to hint out a game, just like, there's an incredibly stupidly low reward for somebody who wants you to kill a dragon here. It's like, obviously that would that the money's not worth it, because this is total death, but it is there. Drop something like that. Drop in some world info while you're at
Hector, I've got to call you right there on bad GM advice.
Yeah.
It's simply because of this, man. Don't tell him out of game. Tell him with the character. The person, the guy walks up to you and says, "I see you're looking at that poster." He grabs it off the wall and says, "You'll die, you dumbass."
Or no,
that's bad.
You could just give him info on it. Like, if the king's like, go off and slay this dragon, and your first action is to be like, well, like, what kind of dragon is it?
That's bad, because you get a stubborn character like yours, and all of a sudden it's like, give me that, old man! Get the hell out of my face! You're not telling me what to do.
But then,
no, so it's bad. So you have.
Then you would interject with hey, this dragon is like 5 stories tall, and it's murdered thousands of men all at once.
I like it.
Probably shouldn't go fight it right now.
You can't do it that way.
I love it, Hector, because it plays out perfectly to the character themselves. And he's stubborn, and he grabs back, like, no, I'm taking this, and then he goes and dies. And you're like, well, good job.
Yeah, sometimes there's no way to, other than metagaming, than to give a person a realistic expectation of what's going on in the campaign world. If you have the time, like if this was a super long running campaign, and this was not like their first thing, but you had, come on, if you had the setup, like you had 3, but
always super long running.
But no, I'm telling you about the time before the setup. If you had like, there's a town crier, and in the last 3 campaigns, he talks about the terror. Dragon slays garrison of 200 men, and then you're like,
there you go.
And then the guy, and then the next session, it's like, dragon defeats 50 dwarves at a battle and steals the princess from this and that. Okay.
There you go. And then the characters come up and they're like, well, I'm going to fight the dragon, and everything's listed on the wanted poster for the dragon. It's like, I'm not going to fight the dragon.
No, it's like this dude's like terrorizing the hell out of her. Like, that'd be
He's the
ridiculous,
worst thing
right?
to happen to okay, That is not my cup of tea.
Yeah,
And I must ask Yuli.
then
I
you
must
gave
ask
them
Yuli.
information, but if you're not trying to set that up and you just have it as a optional death, it's okay. It's okay to drop a little meta knowledge and tell a character outright that this is a ridiculous poster and you probably shouldn't go that way.
Oh, that's actually a good point because sometimes you're gonna wind up in the real world with some sort of bounty or some sort of something that doesn't give all the details, man. And they're just straight out for death. But as a
Yeah, and I mean,
GM,
it doesn't have to be a dragon. It might be
an outlaw.
it might be the southern clan of orcs or something. And you know that going there is a bad idea. Everybody knows that going there is a bad idea.
And the characters are like, we're out to destroy them. And it's like, no,
like they got a
don't-
whole horde over there. You
don't want
that's
to do
not
that. That's where somebody else would come up to you and say, look, kid, that's not what you want to do.
But that's the thing. Okay, so there's information that you want characters to assume that they might not necessarily have. And info dumps are such a bad idea that sometimes it's okay to just drop a little meta knowledge and let you know that, like, hey, I saved this for later. You know, this you don't say that specifically, but you in your head go, I saved this for later. But it's part of my world, so I want to put out a bounty for this one orc who happens to be a clan leader in this horde of 2,000 orcs. So you just drop like, yeah, that's a real. It's okay to be like, that's probably a bad idea. He's the leader of 2,000 orcs. I have no idea how you'd fight that many guys. So maybe that's not an option. But you need him for later. So you want to make him part of the world, and it's okay to drop a little meta knowledge because you avoided that info dump at the beginning.
Well, just like any video game, you go out, level up, and then you try to take on the horde.
Hector, you're right in the middle again. You're right in the middle again with all of this. Yuli,
I know, because I'm balanced.
Yeah, and I am not. Yuli, how do you handle these sorts of situations? Like where if you were to put some sort of bounty out there.
Oh, like how Hector's saying, if I just have a really powerful enemy in my world.
And it's the character's choice. And it's the character's choice.
Yes, I was
they
saying,
don't have to go after it.
Like I was saying just right now, powerful enemies in the world that aren't the end bosses are usually like video game mentality. Like, hey, there's this crazy thing with this crazy reward, but you should probably get a little beefier before you think about fighting it, and just kind of leave it up to them. You know?
It might just be
maybe
total
secret
optional boss. That's good.
Yeah, maybe later on the campaign, like the heroes find like cool super weapons or something. They're like, hey, remember that thing that we heard about that other town? Let's go kill that.
Yuli, what I'm asking is, how do you alert your characters to this? Or do you outright tell them, like Hector was saying, partial metagame? Or do you use characters to tell them it's a bad idea? Do you try to dissuade them? Or do you just outright allow them to go their own way and find their own doom?
I expect NPCs to backfire. They're not a reliable way of doing it.
I would drop it to NPCs. Just like you were describing earlier, like maybe you go to the town over, and if you asked about that certain thing, you'd be like,
sir, you seem to be fighting. You seem to be fighting wanting to be fighting the dragon. It will surely kill you, your party, and your family.
If you try to get if you try to make a character sympathetic, chances are the players will hate him. If you try to make a character useful and helpful and try to integrate them to the party, chances are the characters will hate him. If you make a character just horrible and you want the characters to get away from him as quickly as possible, they will probably drag that guy along into your party and force you to play him for the rest of the campaign.
But
if they like, there is no guarantees on what you expect from an NPC
Oh.
how it affect the characters, and how how the players will react to them. And I no matter NPCs are your like number one tool to try to manipulate a party into doing something. They drop hooks, they give incentives, they inform of stakes, they do all the heavy lifting all around everything. You know, sometimes it's a piece of paper or a piece of evidence or whatever. But for the most part, it's NPCs, and you cannot rely on your characters to act a certain way.
I think the easy way to do it when you're talking about a world boss that's not the last boss is basically you could keep it like super vague to where like they're interested enough to keep investigating it even though it's not their main focus or whatever. Keep it super vague to the point to where like as a GM you're like, oh, they might live, so maybe the next time they inquire about it I'll give them a little something, and you're like, oh, you know, nobody's heard of the ice dragon and blah blah, and then they get beefier and you're like, okay, it won't be a total party wipe this time, these guys have been cool about it, they've been on top of it. Oh yeah, I totally heard that ice dragon is like, you know, one town over in some cave, you know.
I'm actually good at getting NPCs to get you to do what I want you to do. It's not guaranteed.
Yeah.
I know you guys well. I know your role-playing styles well. I pay careful attention to what your characters are doing and try to guess their motivations.
And try to trap us with your doom.
Still not guaranteed. I'm gonna go grab some drinks real quick, guys.
Hold on, before you do.
My throat is super parched up.
Hector, before you do, I want you to come up with... Hold on. I want you to come up with a character based on yourself who is super doom badass of yourself, because I want to role play a little situation right here.
Well, I don't want to sound cocky, but I'm kind of there.
You'll do the same. And you know what? Screw you, audience. I'm also going to go off screen because I have to pee. A lot. Yuli, entertain the people.
Da, 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 da,
All right, I mean, like, if there's anybody in the chat, talk to them, man. If there ain't, then, I mean, entertain the audience. Dude, we are so leaving you to die. So, bro, I can't do this. I can't.
I don't care.
I'm gonna hold it. I'm gonna hold it so hard.
What you don't understand is I do not mind the awkward silence.
No, well, here's also the thing, man. Here's also the thing. Hector's back. Perfect. So I'm gonna go pee, and then we'll do this because that'll give you more chance.
What are we on about?
I gotta go pee real hard.
Yeah, no.
And I was about to leave Yuli to die, but I decided not to.
Luke was gonna leave me to my own devices because
it was gonna be
on stream for a moment or two.
No. We would have probably got into Jaunty tune.
I started to do a little dance.
Yeah. You're like, oh no, I'm all alone.
Because Luke's, yeah, exactly. Luke's like, to be honest, I'm like,
oh, entertainment. I know entertainment. Oh, that's great. What am I drinking? Yeah, okay. I thought it was gonna be orange, but it's peach.
Ugh. Was that weird on the tongue?
To
be like orange peach.
Yeah, no, it's weird because it reminded me of blood orange.
Two things I never tried together that I tried last night that was like super ultra mega delicious. Homemade lemonade, and then I poured Mountain Dew in it. Oh, so good.
Oh my god, that sounds terrible.
No, it was super ultra delicious.
Oh,
it was very good.
Holy smokes, but you drink Monsters. I don't know if you can be trusted.
Well, I mean, do you like Mountain Dew, the soda?
No, last time I drank a Mountain Dew, I came up with a plan to be shot in a rocket at the sun in a Superman pose.
Oh, okay.
I don't do well on caffeine, man. It's way too much for me. I drink I was high as like just out there. I was like, oh man, you know, it'd be great if you get on a rocket and touch the sun. It's too much for me, bro. I don't do caffeine very well.
Well, flavor profile
Did you
wise for
did you boof caffeine?
no,
No.
I poured Mountain Dew inside a lemonade and it was super delicious.
Nice.
It was very
All
tasty.
right. Did you guys come up with the characters?
Sure.
Wait,
You ready to roleplay this?
Maybe.
Oh,
I
no.
don't know. Are we gonna do
I've
our
never
characters?
ready.
Hector, you and Yuli have known each other quite a long time. Basically mercenaries.
Oh, I get it. Are we the men version of us from like Gumball? Remember where they take all the protein? Oh no, we're men.
Sure. Let's go with that. Okay, so
Yeah,
you guys have known each other a long time,
Mhm.
and you're basically mercenaries. And you come up to the pub, which serves as not only a pub serving
Pause,
alcoholic
pause.
drinks.
What kind of world do we live in? Super
Good question.
fantasy,
It's
future.
it's a completely realistic world.
Okay.
Oh man, we work for Blackwater. Oh boy.
Pretty much, man. Pretty much. You work for water flack.
Who work for Grey Aqua?
Yeah, but you guys are your own thing, man. You guys are outside of it. So you come up, you know this pub. You know this pub well. You know it for its a board, which has the warrants, the bounties, the everything that you guys are looking for as mercenaries, you know?
All right.
The bartender stands behind the bar. The patrons litter the place, drinking, laughing loudly, bragging about their own conquests, their own successes. The proof is that they are not dead. And you walk up to the board. The board has many bounties, many warrants. Some are easier than others, some are more brutal than others, but you spot specifically a few. It's one which appeals, Hector, to your talents, but it is just death for Yuli. Equally, Yuli, you spot something is ideal for your talents, but death for Hector. Additionally, you spot something that is the equivalent of trying to pull a mouse out of a toilet.
It depends.
It
Are
is
we
not
really
worth
hurting for
your
money?
time.
What's
Sure,
our
I
motivation?
understand.
Are we
It
broke?
is stupid and it is stupid and pays nothing.
If we're broke, we take the super dangerous ones.
You are broke.
We
You
do
have
trade.
enough. You have enough. So that you
I'm
might
down to
be
decide
able to
on the
make
coin
it
flip.
3 more days.
Yeah.
And you spot
Coin flip.
the other, and you spot the final one, which is above both of your pay grades on every level, but will have you set for life.
If we had money going in, I would take the above the pay grades, because then I would be like, yo, let's just order some extra mercs to fill our ranks and then go handle it. But if we're kind of broke,
We can split that 8. It's like we can split that 8 ways.
yeah. Or 6, you know, maybe some
Or
of them
6.
don't make the right home, you know.
If we can get the right people. Huh? That'd be great. Guaranteed
no
4
one
people die.
in-
Only 4-way split.
No one in the pub is willing. They all acknowledge that as a suicide mission and say it is the worst thing you could possibly do.
I would say to Hector's character, yo, bro, we don't have the cash right now, so let's just pull these side jobs, get the capital, so we can buy them rocket launchers we've been having our eyes on, and then we hit the big ones.
Bartender cleans the glass and says, why don't you look at the board again, find something more to your level.
Oh man, I slapped that bitch.
Does he have Alizé?
Oh, that was a
I'm the
mistake.
master
Now every single bouncer in the bar pulls on you, and they are trained right on you, man. Some with rifles, some with handguns. There's even one psychotic dude with a rocket launcher pointed right at you for slapping the bartender.
I take the mouse out of the toilet job off the wall. Don't worry, we're leaving. Make sure you have some Alizé when we come back. We're bringing bitches next time.
I get in my Escalade and put in my mix.
See, here's
Put in my demo CD.
here's the thing about this entire scenario. Here's the thing about it. You guys could have searched the board for more appropriate challenges.
You gave
The
us
most
options and we
extreme
took
was
them.
presented to you because it was like, hey, look at that. And the most ridiculous was there was like, ugh. And then you see the one that's like, well, my partner couldn't handle that. And then you chose to slap the bartender, which got everyone just,
He was talking
You got
smack.
mouthy.
what the? And
You
then
got
you're like,
mouthy.
And I wanted to have his character die,
Toilet?
so I excused ourselves so we wouldn't go into a super lopsided fight.
guys are the worst role players ever.
No, I think we played
Okay,
Yeah,
it
that's what I'm
Actually,
saying.
hold on. I must rephrase. You guys are the best role players ever, worst strategists ever.
Hector, I
No.
think you kind of played my part this time.
Yeah.
I think we
It was
reversed roles on that one.
fantastic. You
You were
guys
the
did
impulsive
well.
one. I was the level-headed one.
You guys played
I'm a mercenary. You got in my
well.
face, dude. I've
I'm Deathstroke, bitch.
I've been really close to doing that in real life. So normally it's been I was building up this habit of knocking stuff out of people's hands.
You know,
Oh,
I'm
dude.
gonna-
You don't know the temptation every day, bro. Every day.
you know, I'm gonna
No
have
matter
to
how
People
make-
holding a drink. You talking to me?
I'm gonna have to make this
Get out of
campaign
my
happen.
face! You said I was super mean. Super me does this all the time.
I'm gonna have to make it. I'm straight gonna have to make this campaign happen. But my point of the entirety of it was
I
this.
literally looked at a guy and told him, "Shut the f up!" and smacked him across the face. That was real life.
As a player, you have a certain responsibility to your campaign to keep it moderate. You don't go after the dragon. You don't go after the toilet mouse.
Well,
because
like I said, this is why I'm giving this advice, is because your characters may not have the meta knowledge or your world knowledge, not the meta knowledge, but your world knowledge that they should have, because you did an info dump on them. So sometimes it's okay to drop a little meta knowledge to let them know what the actual consequences of something like that.
Dude, you guys didn't really ask anybody in the bar. The bartender said.
Oh, and
No,
did
no.
you
Me and Hector are badass.
and
We
did
don't
you
need
explain
anybody's
the
help.
world? Yeah, did you explain the world appropriately? Because the job is there. So
Ah,
definitely.
good point.
So the meta knowledge that I'm getting right now
All right.
is that it's doable.
All right, Hector. Now I want you to take the same scenario.
Somebody
I
put
put-
up the job because
Hold on.
somebody else expects it to be taken.
Hector, this is a direct challenge for me to you. I challenge you, GM. Take the exact same world that I put forth with the exact same challenges and put it forth to where there is no need to metagame.
Well, unless you have setup, you don't always have setup time.
You are doing exactly what is a mercenary board, man. There's the bounties. There are the straight.
Okay,
crap.
but you're saying I should info dump, and I could do that if I really wanted to. And sometimes I do info dump a little bit because this is fair.
I'm challenging you, man. I'm saying try to do it without metagaming. Try to do it with let's role play, man. I love role playing. I want to play a character right now. You want to play character right now?
No, I'm just sitting here. Why not?
Yeah, man. Hector, you're GMing now. So we come up
Again. Run 2 campaigns in a day. There's somebody whipping me in the back. I got this thing I gotta carry.
Get to work.
Do it, Jim. Do it.
Legs hurt from walking all day.
No one cares about your legs, boy.
My legs. Tell him every my legs.
Shut up, Rick James.
I
find
find
Yuli.
it's just a subtle hint. It's just a subtle hint.
Yuli.
No.
Like there's an absolute crazy job on the board that nobody in their right mind would ever take. You wonder for a minute, who the hell would do this? And then I can move on.
All right, I gotta take this.
That's assuming I know your characters and can guess it more or less the way that they think.
Man, look at how bald Yuli is. He's like an authoritarian starship captain over there.
Uh-huh.
He looks like he should lead 1,000,000 men into battle.
Captain Yulicopter.
Captain Yuli. Appropriate. Absolutely appropriate.
But no, look, if we're in a long-running campaign, then I would have hinted here and there about it. If I was going to put something like that on a bounty board, I would have had prior.
I'm talking about straight noobs that just showed up and looked at the board, and they're trying to decide what campaign they should take.
I wouldn't put it on the board. I wouldn't give them that option. Chances are, so depending on how every player character you have playing is another option for it to go, another chance for it to go wrong.
That's
one of them might just up and spring up and convince everybody to do it.
Yep, and that's once again one of those things, Hector, where you have the hard side, and I have the let them die side. You're like right in the middle. You're like, no, I'm not going to say there's a dragon you could try to destroy. I'm like, well, all the campaigns are available.
If I didn't have time to set it up, I wouldn't do it.
You could straight kill yourselves without saying you could straight kill yourselves. I'm like, it's there. There's a dragon. It's worth this much money. You can go fight the toilet rat. You can go take this one that is completely counter to your buddies, your campaign partners' abilities, but you'll survive. You'll probably kill him though, like brutally drag him back home. Obviously, and you're like, I will not even let them. You're like, the only thing available is toilet rats. You can fight toilet rats.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of those things, man, that goes back to the campaign armor, where you want to have your story continue on. You want to tell your story. And Hector, I cannot fault you because you are a great storyteller. I've read.
There's a balance.
I've read your stories, man, and you're good. You should put those out there too, by the way. Like seriously, you should straight put those out there. They're really good stories, man.
Well, I think if I write enough of them, I'll put them out as a collection.
Yeah, the ones that you already got out there, man, they're really damn good, dude. I've read them all and multiple times, man. Some of them I'm not quite in awe of your work, but I'm always intrigued by your work. And
I just got to put them out as a collection. That's the only way to do it.
Oh, well, collect, do.
Make them.
But the thing is, you're just saying right now that you want to pad armor on your story to get your characters get through. And what did you do earlier today? You had us make extra characters to save ourselves so that you could have the campaign survive.
Yeah, but it also gave you the option in the campaign.
Yeah, it was pretty right there, dude. And I'm wondering if you didn't fudge a roll here or there. I'm not going to say that you did or didn't. I'm
No, I
not
did
going to
not.
even ask if
No,
you
I did
didn't
not.
or did. I'm wondering,
I
but I'm
told
not going
you
to
I
ask.
I
But
I I stopped I stopped
what,
fudging I stopped
uh,
fudging rolls. No,
what I
I
will
used to
say
fudge hit points like
is
10
you
years ago. I
have come
stopped.
up with an epically beautiful, creative way to add armor to your story, to pad the story, to keep the story from dying. You
But look,
allowed the
that's the
characters.
thing. Is it what is the story? If it's if you just give somebody the option to die, is that really part of the story? Like,
Everybody always has the option of dying.
yeah, but if you so it's kind of like I said, putting something like that on the board is an incentive for the characters to die. It's like ha 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 tee. Just wait until you do that. Like wait until
Yeah,
their shoe drops, right?
I'll let anybody do any personally. I'll let anybody do anything. If they're like, yes, we take the dragon head on. I'm like, well, you all died.
And like I
But
said, there's an appropriate way to do that, and there's an inappropriate way to do that.
exactly, man, exactly what I'm
There's
talking about.
look
Exactly.
there's
This is exactly what I'm talking about, Hector. And today, your campaign showed that because yesterday's or last week's campaign showed almost an it was almost a thing where you're like, okay, so you have the choice of going west or going south, and it doesn't matter which you're facing the dragon or the dragon, and it was right to do so because it's part of the story to where you bring, and this is a very
well
important thing. This
those
is
are
very this
I
is
wish
very
Shirley was on
important.
right now because that was
No,
actually
no, no,
consequences because you
Hector,
guys.
this is also a very important part of storytelling. How far into despair can I get my characters where
Mhm.
they are completely just distraught? Everything is fail, and there's nothing that can bring them back from the brink of destruction. And then you say, well, the thing is, you're going to be playing some other characters here who can bring you back. And resolution, man, it's great storytelling. It's great GMing. You took us to the brink of disaster, made us feel for our characters, care for our characters even more so than we would, because that's another thing for another time. But a lot of people look at characters as disposable. But when you make them almost lose their characters, they're like, oh, dude, I can't just willy nilly jump into a pit and maybe it was full of spikes, maybe not. I don't care. I just jumped. You make
Well,
them care about their
the,
characters,
the
and
thing the thing was consequences. The theme was consequences.
indeed,
Consequences are super important in any campaign, and the two sessions ago,
look at you,
you were told
look at you.
two
Sorry.
sessions ago you had one job. The job was given to you at the beginning of the episode, and you guys didn't do it. The job was save brother. The guy told you save brother. That was the whole session.
We failed,
You failed. Because of that, there was consequences. Um,
and that's also one of the things that I'm looking at as far as that was to me when I look at it. I say that was you got the 50-50 choice. You go north or you go south, and depending on which you may succeed or you may fail. That's when you don't look at your characters' sheets and you just set the DSs to an appropriate value of reality without consideration of what the characters can do and set them to their own. But as a GM, you said you must face this. I say you've handled it masterfully because you allowed for recovery of that, which was a beautiful part of the story and made us appreciate our characters even more. But what I'm saying is, what are the limits, man? What are you looking at when you decide these sorts of things? Do you have the plan already in hand? Are you already considering the characters, or are you just letting them run amok and then saying afterward, how can I save what these idiots have done to themselves?
No, so I knew that things were really dire, and things needed to head in that direction for a while anyway. Because even though your characters are becoming pretty
Yeah, we're beefy.
competent,
Yeah, we're beefy.
they're becoming very competent. Um, that's not the world of Supernatural. The world of Supernatural is a struggle.
No. This has nothing to
Preternatural.
do with Supernatural. This is just a
No.
completely original world that has nothing to do with anything
No, it's okay.
ever.
They appreciate fan fiction.
All right, cool.
They actually dig it.
All right, sweet.
But they so it's not that world. It had the feel had to be right, and
The feel
you guys,
was right, man.
yeah, you guys have been walking over it for a while, and I knew that you still had that luck point, and because it is heavily influenced by Supernatural, one of the things is you have to go on a journey to save your life. If you use a luck point to save your life,
Nice,
that's one of the options, and I knew it would come up,
man.
and it was the right time for it, and the way the story ended, it was the appropriate way to go about
I
it.
fear that I'm gonna sound like some damned infomercial, man, but that's some goddamn good writing, man. That's like some good workaround. That's some good plotting.
Sorry, it was my boss. I had to.
It's okay, Yuli.
Always.
We've decided that all your characters have died.
But it's no, it
We,
was
Hector and I have been sitting here for
The
a
important
while.
part
We've
that
been
you-
talking
the
about
important-
it. No, Hector, I'll break it to him. Now, see, the thing is, Dan is dead. It's just the way of things. And I forget the other dude, Hector. What was the other
you
dude?
got an infection from your gunshot.
Yeah, he's dead too, man. It's
No,
just
we're in the hospital. Screw your infection.
no, they're so dead. It is just we've been talking about it this whole time. You're dead, man. I mean,
if I'm that dead, Hector, I'll play a demon and kill Luke.
No, so the important part that you missed was the reason why all of this happened is 2 episodes ago in a weird seance. You had one job, and that job was save brother. That was what you were given at the beginning of the.
no, we didn't.
And you guys left that dude in there. You guys left that guy
We
behind.
tried.
Who was
I
this?
know.
It didn't go well. Rolls were
rough.
against us.
It was rough. It didn't go well.
Who?
I know.
Rolls
What are you
were
talking about?
very against us.
Oh, the brothers that
Chip Connolly or whatever his name was.
Do we, man?
He
I've
told you
never rolled
Save brother
so
before
many
he splattered
ones.
onto the floor and died. And
Hey, no, we tried.
But I know I say
No.
I love these die because
And if you-
they
and if you
roll
had
me
done that,
tens a lot.
you would have only had
They
had
have
to
a
deal with one demon.
tendency to roll me ones as well.
But the consequences
looking-
of failing was that you now have to deal with 6.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking at these things right here and I'm blaming them. I'm saying, dice, your fault. Dice, you roll me 8s, 9s, and 10s, and a lot of 1s. And all the 1s came out that day so hard, man. Every time.
Yep. I'm taking the blame off myself for putting it on my dice.
Yeah.
Because
That
we
is
as
the
players did try to take the appropriate steps to save these guys, but we just failed.
We had good role playing. We had good strategy. But every time we rolled that strategy, it was like, Oh.
Because I mean, yes or no, if we met
12.
the DS to find that evidence in that kid's room,
We
we
would
would
have
have been way
killed
better
him.
off, right?
You would have been way better off.
Exactly.
Yeah, man. So I was like,
You still had a
Oh.
chance to get away with it scot-free, though. But you decided to roll a search, or roll find, and there was no way that you would. So the demon was not hiding. The boys were. They were hiding from her, but you guys didn't play into that. So you found her instead of them.
yeah, no,
I
it was
see,
bad.
I see, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and the way that you guys decided to go about it, like there was no way you weren't gonna run into her. So you ran into her. If you guys had been like,
Well,
where is the younger Connolly brother, or specified that you were actually looking for the boys, then you would have had a chance at finding them first, and you could have probably gotten away with it.
Dan assumed the boys were with the demon, and that's why we were looking for the demon to find the boys, to rescue them.
Yeah, and she flat out told you she didn't know where they were, so you still had even a back door then to try and find them before.
I could have just been like, okay, and left. Maybe.
Sort
if
of.
she let me.
What? Maybe one of you could have left and held her off for a while, or forced her to monologue, or you never know. The monologue thing is great because it lets me put in super corny villains, super villains, and it's appropriate to the show. And but you guys have seen the way it's supposed to work is like once they're monologuing, as long as you can keep them monologuing, you gotta.
We're free to do whatever we want, basically.
Yeah, it's a little mini monologue mini game, right? If you can keep them talking.
My favorite one with that was the car. I'm just gonna. You can take no action except try to intimidate us. So it just sat there going, rawr, 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 or we smashed into it and like poured stuff on it.
It says a monster that's capable of speech. Technically, it's not, but technically, it kind of was.
But there was also an intimidation
a form of
one.
Speech. So it's just like, okay, you know what? I'll let it fly.
Cars talk, vroom vroom. See?
Those rules were supposed to be really flexible, right? So I let you guys get away with a lot of stuff when you use the destiny points. That's what they're for. They're there for just to let you get creative with it, and you're supposed to make a mockery of everything.
No, but the car one was the intimidate one.
Was it intimidate?
Yeah, it was the monster could take no other action except attempt to intimidate you. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think you did it to Biscuit too before he was befriended.
We did something to Biscuit, yeah.
No, you did some. I think you picked the knockout option, be knocked out. I know you did that for sure. But I mean, it worked out great.
With all the damn traps. I'm going to sleep. Screw this noise, I'm laying down.
I don't know. I think the Destiny points have been fun. I kind of expected you guys to use some of the bad Destiny points, the villain Destiny points for Sean and Dan today.
That would have been awesome, but I didn't even think about it on the spot.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, there might not have been one because they're vastly different for the villains, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you could have definitely just disarmed everyone.
Oh, that would have been the greatest. We busted to the room, just shoot guns at everybody's hands. Pew pew. Now nobody has no guns, no holy water, no nothing. Just standing there empty-handed with their asses in their hands. And then we shoot him in the face.
Yeah, I mean, there's some different options there, but I didn't really expect you to remember them because you used them in the one shot, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You guys used them. I knew you guys were gonna abuse them right away, and I've been, trying to do the same thing to you.
Yes, we know. That's why I was really hesitant to use any destiny points in that fight. I was like, no, Hector can't have one because he'll screw us really good with it.
Yeah, yeah. So that's the thing. You want to use as few destiny points as possible, right? It's been working out exactly as I planned.
Yeah, because I mean, even when we go destiny points crazy, like it'll be like this, right? Like this is us, this is the opponent, and then like we start using destiny points. We're like, yeah, we have the upper hand. It's like, ah, no, this guy has a destiny point. You know,
Yeah,
so.
yeah, yeah. And one of the few advantages that you had is arrogance was actually a really high level demon, but he used all his destiny points last session to do all the crazy shit that he did. Yeah, so that's why you guys.
So this is how I thought it was gonna go, Hector.
Yeah.
I made a bashy, pushy, buff guy. So I thought I it, all my plans went to crap when you said I pushed him and nothing happened, because the plan was I'm gonna beat him in the head, right? While Homegirl sets up the trap, deadly push him force him into the trap with my deadly pushing and my iron knuckles, and done.
Yeah, but the thing is, demons have super strength, especially like higher ranking demons.
I'm just saying, if he was a regular demon, he would have been B-slapped all day, son.
I think you might have been able to pull it off on a regular demon, but
on a regular demon, yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately, he was no joke, man. I try to make him literally stronger. All of them are a little. Do you remember the episode of Seven Deadly Sins?
Some dim sins.
7 Deadly Sins.
Ah, that was an episode.
If you saw Supernatural,
I have not.
There was an episode of the 7 Deadly Sins, and I thought they were all punks. All 7 of them go down in one episode.
Is that the one where they're like in a hotel, and Gabriel is not really Gabriel, he's really the trickster, and somebody wanted to get them all in one place to steal their power or something, or kill them?
I don't remember that. What I remember is, oh man, we unleashed old evil. These guys are serious business. They go down like chumps. They Ruby was there and she knifed like 2 of them. And then they exorcised a bunch of them, and it was just like, wow, like you just got attacked by the 7 deadly sins. Sorry guys, you're not getting away with that in my campaign. The 6 debaucheries are much worse.
7
They're not
deadly
going down.
6 debaucheries is bitch.
Yeah, you're not going down that way. No way. It's like these guys are the famous 7 deadly sins with mind control powers that let them force their sin on other people.
Did you like my opening move? Stare to shoes, stare to shoes. Ah! Because Kenny doesn't know how that power works.
No, so the thing is, I couldn't. I was at a destiny point, so I couldn't do it. Yeah, otherwise that's exactly what I would have done, and I was waiting for you guys to use one more destiny point on me, so I could be like, now you want to do what I tell you. Like,
you almost could have, but the use of the second destiny point gave us the win. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, he was it was just wanky the way it was going. So
it was pretty crazy.
It was skin in your teeth.
Yeah.
Stuff. Man.
There's no skin on my teeth.
I don't understand the expression either, but
yeah, wouldn't this be the skin of your teeth?
The lips.
Your gums.
If anybody knows what skin in your teeth means, I like that saying, but I
Or-
don't know what it
I
Oh
don't
wait,
want
I
to
think
go
it
look it
represents the
up, man.
space of the
Don't
back of
do
your
that
lip
to me
on
because
the
I'm
on the
gonna
teeth.
straight go look it up. I'm
What's
gonna
the
spend
space?
like 12 hours digging into this to find the origin of it. I'm not doing it. You can go do it yourself.
I
I
think it
will probably
represents the
do it.
space
I
between your
will do
lips
it.
and your teeth, that they're pressed up against each other, with almost no
Ladies
space.
and gents,
By the
we're
skin of your
still alive
teeth.
by the skin of my teeth. Now it's killing time, angels in our pockets, devils by our side. We ain't going nowhere, cause heroes never die. Um, you guys want to keep it going, or you guys want to call it?
I'm
I'm
starving.
actually wondering where the heck
Because we've
Big
gone,
Beef is, man.
yeah, we've gone a little long today, guys. We're gonna call it. Remember,
Big Beef is usually here.
like,
Boom.
subscribe, follow, leave a comment, share, tell your homie about our channel. Um, hit me up for a commission. Get some badass artwork done. What you want to do sooner than later?
Don't
Because
forget, I
sooner.
also do really badass art, but I don't take commissions. So you need to go to Hector for commissions because I won't do them at all.
Hit us up on the
And then
Instagrams at Heavy Metal 2023. The future post coming.
go down into my links below and check me out. This episode will not be coming out this week. It's going to be coming out later because I have to do some editing to it.
It's
But
going to be
all
fun.
the rest, but
It's
all the
gonna
rest
be
of the episodes are up,
You know what?
and
I'm down for it. It's a lot of work. I don't want to, but I will. I'll overdub my own part.
no, that's not.
Hi, I'm Luke. I'm here to screw everything up and just make a mess of everything. I'm playing this character and I
Yeah,
don't
what are you
really.
gonna read your lips for 45 minutes? No.
No, I'm gonna put whatever the hell I want. It doesn't have to match what my lips are saying.
Or you can go ahead and do that. It might be kind of fun, but but we'll figure that out. Thanks for joining us, guys. Remember to hit up my stuff below. Get onto my YouTube channel. Check out
all right.
the episodes that you've missed. What's up?
I propose to everyone out there. All we need is 10 upvotes on YouTube for
10 likes.
10 upvotes, 10 likes, man, for the video on YouTube with no audio for the first 45 minutes. If we get those 10 likes, I will overdub myself with suggestions from everybody out there. I don't care what the hell you tell me to say. I will say it. I'll overdub myself with it. It doesn't have to match the mouth movements.
Well, I'm gonna make it awesome anyway, so I think we can definitely get those 10 likes. Look out for that coming out. It's not gonna come out on the regular schedule, guys, because I do have to do some stuff to it to make it decent enough to go up. But believe it or not, there's some quality control that goes into
Yuli,
this.
Hector, will you
We work on it, man.
Will you disregard quality control if we get 10 likes at minimum on the YouTube for the blank 45 minutes?
Just
So
okay. So leave 10 likes on this video because this video will go up.
Yeah, no, this video is going up for sure. But the video of our role-playing session. So say we get 10 likes, we'll disregard protocol, and Hector, you'll overdub yourself with whatever the audience says.
And we'll dub it. We'll redub it 45
We'll
minutes.
redub it with comments from
Say a bunch of stuff.
the audience.
Stuff over
It
I have
doesn't
no
matter
idea.
what the audience says. We'll just take it and we will put it in there as best as we can to make some sort of sense out of it. But even as like, I like things in my butt, and that is where they belong.
We'll try to make sense of it, guys. We'll make a stupid,
10
ridiculous
upvotes, and we're going to need comments
hate myself
on the
for the rest
YouTube
of my
video
life for doing
with
it.
the blank section.
Okay,
You-
I'm gonna
we-
cut the feed now. Before
Hold on. Before you do,
even more things.
wait, before you
Before he
do,
promises
before you
more
do.
bullshit.
I don't care. Before you do,
Get us out of here before he